Welcome to Joint Effort PAs, where two orthopedic surgery PAs get real about life in medicine. From tips and tricks to professional growth, work-life balance, and everything in between. We're here to share what we've learned and what we're still figuring out. Let's get into it. Okay, we have our first guest episode today. I'm so excited.
Today is a very special day because we do have one of our surgeons that we work with for his perspective with working with PA. So he brings today over 25 years of is the word relationship, work experience. Yeah. Our surgeon that we have here, who's going to remain anonymous, we can go with G Money Captain. Yeah. I'm not really sure, but we'll roll with it. But he's worked in many settings, including starting off at Naval Hospital at Camp Lejeune, and currently has been in outpatient orthopedic medicine for 25 plus years. So Hannah and I, have met him at various different times in our professional history here. So we're going to turn over the mic to the captain.
Yeah, give us a
so
brief
welcome.
Intro. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I've been a big fan from afar, and I'm very excited to join the fastest growing, most popular PA-centric podcast in the Triangle. Thank you for having me.
To demonstrate importance and relevance here. So Hannah, your start in orthopedics probably can be dedicated to this guy right here.
Yeah, 100%. I think I started my association here when I was 15 years old. Yeah, one of my high school teachers set me up with an internship with the captain. And it went from there. So I did a little high school internship, came back and worked as an athletic trainer here after undergrad. So I think, I can attribute most of my medical career to you.
Perfect. Yeah, and I came down to North Carolina and kind of found the practice and found the captain here, and it's been a great past 10 years. Felt like 3 months, but
it feels like 3 months.
Time flies.
Or just 10 minutes.
Or 10 minutes.
Underwater.
10 minutes. All right, so captain, I'm throwing it to you. So in what setting and at what part in your career, whether it was in school or not, did you start working with PAs?
Right out of residency, I was assigned to Naval Hospital Camp Lejeune. Shortly after starting there, a PA basically assigned himself to the orthopedic facility. He was initially assigned somewhere else, but he was able to work the situation where he attached himself to the orthopedic group and made himself indispensable.
Oh,
he was sort of a Ray Donovan of the orthopedic cast room.
So when you had like a PA, and he was a PA, not a student, right?
PA,
okay.
Absolutely.
So when you had a PA in that setting, and at the time you were in your residency?
No, I was fully trained at that point.
So you had with you, so let's say you had medical students working with you, you had residents, you had fellows, and then you have a PA?
At that time, we had one PA for the entire orthopedic group, about 6 orthopedic surgeons and a dozen corpsmen, which are orthopedic cast techs plus. So these individuals are healthcare professionals that don't have an analog in the civilian setting. These professionals are much more than just someone who can roll a cast or place a splint. These are often forward deployed with the Marine units. And when they're with the Marine units, the Marines call them Doc because they're basically saving limbs, saving lives, immediate first-line treatment of battle wounds. And that's what a Navy corpsman is. And we had a dozen of those, the one PA and several surgeons.
Okay.
That's cool. So, I mean, did you have any feeling of like, what are you? Like, what am I supposed to do with you? Or it was just like, it spoke for itself. It sounds like the guy that you worked with was...
It was immediately apparent. This gentleman had been in the military for quite a long time, had been a PA for a shorter time, but long enough to successfully navigate the intricacies of the military and military medicine. And he made himself indispensable.
Yeah.
So I think that's great, like having that first right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So that must have set you up for some baseline level of expectation in your career.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. He set a high bar.
Yeah.
And he was just a wonderful, wonderful person.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
So fast forward to the clinic setting in outpatient medicine where you're in your own practice, and then, you say to yourself, oh, I want to hire a PA. I want someone who will do what this guy did for me. So what was that transition like?
Well, when I joined this practice, it was very different than it is now. We were mostly rural based, very, very high volume. Truly, while we were developing a sports medicine focus, the work to be done was broad-based general orthopedics with tremendous trauma. We were covering three ERs at the time, and the breadth of the work was as broad-based as you can imagine. And very high volume clinics, high volume surgery schedule, plus the ER, any ER at any given time. We had a zone strategy, even if you weren't on call, wherever you were, if that ER needed, we would deal with it. And I remember the founding partner noticing how hard I was working and noticing how challenged we were, because he had 2 PAs at the time. And he said, you need to start interviewing for a PA now, because in 6 months, you're going to be overwhelmed. You're not going to be able to handle this. And so that's how it started.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
and that was about 3 months in.
Wow. So for those listening, the captain here comes from I don't want to say generation, but that's the word I'm going to use, of like hustlers. Like he hustles. He's not someone that comes in and just, sees the patients that are there. He's always thinking, always trying to grow the practice. And it sounds like that's what it started out of the gate. So when you realized very early that you were kind of in, overwhelmed in a good way, bringing a PA on board. So what key characteristics did you look for in a PA? And did you get to interview for your own? Like, how did that first relationship in clinical medicine develop? Well,
much the ethos of this practice is individualism and, self motivation. And the process of finding and hiring a PA was left completely up to me. I had to figure out how to do it, had to decide what was important, had to find the person, interview the person, figure out compensation. There really our management team was not nearly as well developed as it is now. And, 20 years ago, dramatically different time. There wasn't even an iPhone 20 years ago. Think about that.
Yeah. And at that time, what was the most important? Like, what were you looking for?
Well, I might not have been able to articulate it at the time, but it's very clear to me now, as it was then, is personality and personal responsibility. And that you can call that work ethic, grit, but personal responsibility and personality. It has to be someone who likes other people, who likes helping people, who's not bothered by people, and a little bit of a self-starter. I back then, I spent a tremendous amount of time and effort educating and training the PAs, because many times I was hiring somebody right out of school or who was relatively inexperienced, and this was their first time in orthopedics.
Yeah.
So is it safe to say that there were some growing pains as you kind of worked through PAs? Well, I guess I'll back up. So you had a PA for quite a while that was a great fit, worked the high volume with you, and then that PA left circumstantially. So trying to find that, if that was your quintessential, like, oh, I know, I found it, this is what I want. Talk about kind of working through some other PAs that came in that maybe weren't the best. Like, what did that look like? And when did you know?
Well, I would say the first PA in private practice, it was a perfect situation. She was young right out of her training, and really did not mind the work. I used to joke the first 4 years that she worked with me was like 12, 18-hour days. Just no matter how much work there was, we were getting it done. And she had a great rapport with the patients. Patients trusted her and liked her, knew that she cared about them. And she would figure things out. That was probably the most intense amount of hands-on micromanaging training I've ever done. But I mean, once the training was done, I didn't have to worry. I mean, it was a very, very intense time. I mean, I was working 6 days a week, and then Sundays would be charts. And that back then we had paper charts, and the back seat of my car would be filled. I mean, 2-foot stacks, side by side by side. I remember one time the workload caught up a little bit, and she showed me how many charts she had left to be done, and it was horrifying.
Like triple digits?
I
like stack wise, size, volume wise, like
more than I just told you was in my car.
Oh,
yeah.
So I had to take the extra project. I would grab as much as I could physically lift, and I would add that to my Sunday pile and just start knocking out her charts.
To segue off of that, because you kind of touched on like the initial effort that you had to put in to make your PA this way.
But also to develop your practice. Like it sounds like that workload needed to happen at that time to work toward your end goal of having a firm established practice.
And I think like for new PAs especially, that's something they really, really look for and like cling on to and seek. And like, do you ever have docs ask for advice like how do I develop this relationship and like get my PA to this level and this point? Or do you see that like it's not as common for them to put in that front effort and still have the expectation that, they're going to develop themselves?
Yeah, it's a great question. You may be surprised to learn no one ever asked me my opinion on that ever.
And they should.
Yeah.
I know they should. Yeah. But also, like, I think it's really important to point out is that, the first PA that you had, that PA went to school like I did, like Hannah did, and there's nothing that trains you for what that experience is. So if you want to be successful and that is what is required of you, you dive in. Like that is not something that you can just come in and say like, oh, well, I don't really want to work as hard as you because you will not be successful in that role. Yeah. And it sounded like you honestly had the perfect situation of someone who was willing to and did a good job and kept up. So
especially now, that's a unicorn. That's not, that level of commitment's not required. I think what is most important is not the act of working so quote unquote after hours, but knowing that you're going to take care of things. Like fire and forget. If you're responsible for something, you remain responsible for that thing after 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And not necessarily you have to do 5 million things on the weekend or after hours, but when you're responsible for a thing, a patient, a lab, an MRI, that's getting taken care of. Yeah. And I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Taking just as much ownership. Like it's a team approach and, it's not like a 8 to 5 job. I've clocked out. Well, I'm done. And, this is somebody else's responsibility to handle now.
Well, in a surgical practice, there really is no off time.
Yeah.
Like there may be long periods of time where you go on vacation, but there's always some level of responsibility.
Yeah.
And that is what it means to be a professional.
Yeah.
If you want to work shift work and be able to leave it at the place of business, well, then you can work in an injury express. You can work in an emergency department. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about that one in the other episodes too. Yeah.
I like it when people find what suits them.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? You have to know if that's for you.
I hate to fit square pegs into round holes. It's, fun for no one.
Yeah.
But you even said that, working with a PA, you can fire and release, and then you're not thinking about it because it is their responsibility to think about. So what other things do you think PAs help in your everyday life, in your desire to grow and your creative process, like what else do you think PAs bring to the table to help that synergistic relationship?
I think it is highly individual. I think there's a certain baseline, just like there's a certain baseline that comes with being an MD. But it really is an individual matter that you can make of it what you will. The sky's the limit. There's a certain baseline, and I've worked with many people who are just the baseline.
Yeah.
And it's not something that really works for me.
And we talked about that last week on like how not to suck. And there's categories. You're really good. You're kind of baseline.
Yeah.
You're not great and you suck, right?
Yeah.
So, and what we had highlighted last week was your attitude and what you personally bring to the table. And it sounds like you're definitely echoing that as far as what makes that PA someone that's, that unicorn. So,
yeah. And you have to know like you said, what fits your team, what you want, because for some surgeons, maybe they want somebody who is more just the baseline. Like, I'm going to come in and, do my XYZ tasks for the day and get done what I need to get done and not maintain like a higher level of control over, the scheduling processes or, other tasks that you and I like to take on.
Yeah.
So.
But I think also if you find that right person, right personality, then you are more likely to want to give those things to that person. Whereas if you see that they are just a baseline, then you're going to hang on to those things that need to be done correctly. So again, in order for a relationship like you're talking about to work, it has to be, you have to see the other person's strengths and know that you can use them, or realize that they don't have that and then you can't use that. So
that really brings up a point. And because I don't think this way, but it just reminded me that I see surgeons that really view PAs and NPs just as interchangeable widgets.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very different relationship. And I think that really impacts the give and take on both sides. And if you are the type of person who it's just a job, I'm going to be awesome when I'm at the job, but I want to leave it at 5. That's probably the perfect boss for you because that's how they see you.
Yeah.
Right. But I think most people want a little more out of life than that. They don't necessarily want to be their job, but they want to be well regarded, well respected, and enjoy their work. And if you quickly determine that the boss is that way, if that's not what you're looking for, you should look for another job.
Yeah.
Where you're more well respected.
Yeah.
And more highly regarded.
Yeah. And I was saying, I can't remember what week it was, but for advice for PAs at PA school or those that are on the verge of their boards and trying to interview, like what I want to hear when a PA comes in for an interview is, when I ask them like, what are you looking to do? I really want them to say, I want to work with a physician or practice where I can make that practice or that physician's life easier. I want to improve efficiency and I want to do a good job so the patients want to come back and see me and see the practice. Like, ask me how many times I've heard that on an interview. Yeah. 0 times, right? But it's so funny because on this end of it, like I see and I like the PA profession because you are really there as a member of the team to make everything easier for the surgeon. Like if the surgeon can just show up, see the patients, do the surgery and spend time again on their process, then you're doing your job. So I think again, PAs making your life easier is probably the number one requirement.
And that's like the satisfying part of the job
yes.
to me,
yes.
is knowing that you're creating that efficiency and you have that level of trust. The weeks that I feel the least satisfied are ones that I feel like things are chaotic and like everybody was having a hard time and struggling through the week. I'm like, I'm not doing something right if this is not an easy flow for everyone.
And if it's a hard day or hard cases, like even on the hard days and the hard cases, if they go well, like those are not the hard days,
Yeah.
So as long as, things are flowing correctly and, it again, like the week just goes to the point where at the end of the week, you can say, wow, we did a really good job. We accomplished all these hard things. Like those are the satisfying moments.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about PAs that you've seen. And again, this is education for us and for those that how not to suck, right? So what are some common threads that you've seen with PAs that you just know right off the bat, whether you see it with students or you see it with those doing their rotations? Like, what do you see that you're like, man, you got to drop that habit?
I don't know if I could give you a list of habits. I can know within about 10 minutes if there's going to be a problem.
And that's funny because one of the other physicians in the practice said the exact same thing. He said, I'll know within talking with them in about 5 minutes, I'll know if that's a good fit or not.
Yeah.
So what about, have you ever had any PAs that have not really jived with your philosophy? And when do you discover it and how do you deal with that?
Probably couldn't give you a bulleted list because I'm not really paying attention. I'm just trying to make every situation work. I think one of the one thing that I hear that I know that I can never make it work is if I hear, I'm not comfortable with blank.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is because it's such a weasel statement, right? I don't know how to. That's correctable, right? I've never been shown.
Mm-hmm.
That's correctable. But I don't feel comfortable with suggest you know how, which you probably don't. And the fault is with everyone else.
Yeah.
And I can't fix that in someone. So that's usually a sign that it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an early one that I see too that never really ends well. What about any, PA that over-delivered where you've had to correct that? Meaning, telling patients like, oh, this will 100% help with your pain. This 100% is what it is. And then you have to kind of go in and very tactfully undo that or re-explain that. And then really trying to keep that relationship with yourself, the PA, and the patient in a continued, trustful relationship. How do you work your way out of that?
Well, there's been blessedly little of that. I think in the cases of the inexperienced PAs, because they didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And didn't have the confidence to say that because they just didn't know. And in the other case, the PAs were too experienced to say that. I think that one of the biggest problems we all in this room, not just me, run into wrong diagnosis from an emergency department or an outside urgent care, and sometimes in our own injury express, and the time we have to spend to backtrack. Why did they say this? Why did they say that?
I talked about that a little last week. Like one of the hardest things to do is to talk someone down from an incorrect diagnosis and try to still, maintain not saying anything negative about the other person that they saw, like trying to, I don't want to say defend them, but, just kind of walk that fine line of, let's not put blame on anybody here.
Yeah.
And then there's an issue of like, they're confused about who to trust in this situation now. Probably a little bit easier of a line for you to walk because I feel like when people come and follow up with you and coming from you,
I have to be very careful because I don't want to undermine the PA. It doesn't serve me or the practice or the patient or the PA or the PA profession in general to undermine a patient's confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all learning here. I mean, I learn something every single day I go to work. I mean, I'm not a fully formed vessel. So I'm always learning something. Patients teaching me something. And we're all in different places in our practice journey. And it doesn't help to create a grudge between the patient and the first person they saw.
Yeah.
We need to get them focused on their treatment plan.
Yeah.
So some of the PAs that you've worked with in the past, and again, I've had the pleasure or not pleasure of seeing some of these relationships come and go, but so some of these PAs, and I'm just going to go through relative examples and you can comment on any of these that you want. So we'll call this section pitfalls. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we had a PA once that worked in the practice that had gone through a bunch of orthopedic stuff themselves. And, this person had, let's say, shoulder surgery, had knee surgery, and then every single patient that came in matched her history of what she had done. So that, I remember that as a huge red flag. Like, putting your personal experiences on everybody that you saw, right? So you had a rotator cuff surgery. So everybody comes in had rotator cuff surgery. And the way that they're going to heal from it is exactly how you healed from it. So delivering that personal experience and literally putting it on that patient. Do you have any recollection of that? Or did you see that kind of from a distance? Or is this the first time you're hearing about that?
I've heard you mention that before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's really hard to be a good surgeon, surgical PA, doctor in general, unless you've had some form of illness or injury yourself. I note that every time I sustain an injury, mild or otherwise, it always makes me a little more empathetic and better at not so much diagnosing, but to a little bit, to a degree, but also treating and having more patience. What you're describing is the far end of that spectrum where it actually becomes counterproductive.
Yes.
And so that as a little bit goes a long way with that.
Yeah.
So we had another PA that I had interviewed for Injury Express, and actually I liked, again, the personality. I liked everything about her and kind of changed my approach with her and interviewed her for the surgical team. And she started off with a bang. Like, we were in a situation where we had a patient at the hospital and they needed a dressing change. And she was like, I'll go, I'll do it. And we we're like, oh my God, this person is like willing to do everything. That's how she started. So great first impression, but then very, very quickly was, oh, it's 4:45. I have to go. I have to let my dog out. And it was always that. And then the final straw, for me with that PA was, the night before she had surgery, she was out doing something and texted me and said, hey, can you send me the rundown of the patient so I'm prepared for tomorrow? Out.
Okay.
Nope, out. No. Contrasting with another PA that we had, again, early in her career, personality wise, great. And all three of us in this room remember this PA because she was great. We loved her. And again, circumstantially moved and, didn't have her here.
Oh, she was great.
That long. So she was in, we're in North Carolina and she was in Pennsylvania and it was winter and it had snowed. And she was like, listen, my flight got canceled. Like, I cannot make surgery tomorrow. And I was like, I'm going to need you to rent a car and just get here for that. And she did. She did. And she showed up and she very much expected that call to be like, oh, I'm calling out. And I was like, I'm going to need you to get here.
Actually.
And she did, though. Like, that
I would say
you remember that, right?
That was 50% grit and 50% abject terror of your wrath.
Yes. I know, but she did it. And the first thing she said, she was, I'm not old enough to rent a car. Her dad did it for her. Like, I remember that very clearly. And she
was great. She was very popular. She was a good PA.
Yeah, we loved her.
Comment on people's fear of Beth.
Oh.
Okay, I think I'm the only one who's allowed to talk about it.
Correct. Yes.
Wait, are we saying it exists, but we're not allowed to talk about it?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
You rest comfortably in the fact that you are terrifying, but it is not to be mentioned. And I try to take the air out of it by mentioning it all the time.
Just clear the
which helps me overcome my own terror.
Yes.
Well, again, like, I'll comment on what we said last week. Like, I have an unrealistic expectation for PAs. Like, I get personally infuriated when I see a PA that has the same title as I do, and they are just, they're mediocre. Like, it infuriates me.
I feel like your expectation level
it's too high. Like, it's too high
here or higher. It goes through the roof here. Everybody else's is still very high, but
it's not too high.
I love that.
She's a born coach, born motivator, leads by example, and people don't want to disappoint her.
That's where the fear comes from.
That's where the fear comes from.
Yeah.
Well, you guys should all be terrified. So anyway, so let's dig into your vault there and see if you can, from your experience, again, this pulls from everyone and anyone, and I want no forethought on this. This is totally on the fly. So have you ever had a situation in the OR where the PA did something either terrible or did something amazing? Like, when you were kind of stuck and you were like, wow, I'm really happy I had a PA here today. I mean, obviously all days you're happy, but like that day specifically.
I range from the period of time where I had 3 PAs, and my constant refrain was all these PAs and nary a bit of help.
I've heard that a couple times.
All the way up to every single day, I'm glad I have you guys on my team. Every single day. And I mean, my team is good and improving all the time. One member of my team is incredibly experienced, and the other one is growing more experienced all the time and very engaged, wants to be good, wants to be great, wants to be more and more independent. And I think we're very fortunate. Our team is very cohesive. The athletic trainers, the medical assistants, the PAs, I kind of liken it to we're like little gas molecules in a closed jar. We're bouncing all over the place against each other at all times, but it becomes a cohesive
It works.
one. Yeah.
And you've had a lot of team setups in the past. And so each one learning from and hopefully better than the last in ways.
So from a surgeon's perspective, if you're giving advice to any PA that wants to get into surgery or orthopedic surgery, besides, just doing a good job and bring 100% to the table, what other things do you think they should consider to enter this field and advice to be successful?
I think getting in the field of orthopedics as a PA is not that hard because it's not an easy job. I would imagine becoming a PA in dermatology to be very, very difficult, right? Because it's fairly easy, well-contained job, 9 to 5 with a lunch hour, right? Nobody raises their voice. Nobody, nobody's running anywhere. There's no call. So I think once you are a PA, I think it's fairly easy to get in, but I think the difficulty is in finding the job within orthopedics that you want. I think you can probably get a job in an urgent care and injury express in an orthopedic group almost immediately. I think the way to springboard from there, and it's nothing wrong with it. I believe orthopedic groups accept and understand this. The way to springboard from an injury express is to, as you say, not suck. Like, get better, go the extra mile, have the patients love you, have the doctors see how engaged you are and the competence. And the doctors will notice and find you. You won't even, we've had PAs in our injury express that 3 or 4 doctors are fighting over, right?
Yeah.
How did we find each other? I don't even remember, right?
Aww.
Yeah.
Story time.
Yeah. Story time. Yeah. No, I interviewed here for, at the time, what was Injury Express, but I had been looking for like clinic OR, and I had interviewed with the PA that you were working with, who was kind of in charge of all that. And she was like, yeah, it sounds like we can get you, in the OR, a little bit in clinic, but we'll mainly start you in Injury Express. And I remember saying to her, I was like, that's great. She goes, well, what do you want to do like eventually? And I said to her, I kind of want your job. And she was like, huh, like at the time, and it led to an awkward moment. And then thank God you walked in the room. And then, we met, and you were like, well, yeah, if you do, and you said to me, if you do good here, then things will open up for you. And that was kind of your, advice. We didn't know each other, and that's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit on the sports med team, but was working in urgent care. But when I was in urgent care, I was doing pre-ops. I was having patients come in to do that so that I was maximizing my time. I was helping over here. You were in the OR a couple times, and I was in urgent care, and I came down to scrub in so that I could close so you can go up to clinic because you were late. Like just seeing where I could fit in to make your life easier. And then it went from there. I was cast as a carpal tunnel PA for the first 2 years as my penance, but I overcame that.
What?
Yes. No, we joke. I was as my 90-day trial, which lasted, 2 years. He said, no, you'll just be the carpal tunnel PA until we can see that you can learn a little bit more, all in good fun. But that was,
well, there are 2 surgeries she did not like because she couldn't see a thing: carpal tunnel and partial knee replacements.
Yes.
So absolutely hated them.
Yes. And
That's fair.
They were all on my days essentially when I was in the OR. And I didn't make it too vocal, but I hated those. I still do.
The only thing I remember is, as you know, I'm a bit of a kidder, and I was constantly pick at you, just joke. And then one day you were putting a knee in the leg holder, and I said something, and you came back at me so hard.
I remember that.
Yeah. And you were leaning over that thing, and you kind of look up at me side eye to see what I was going to do. I just started laughing. So
yeah. That's where the fear started.
And that's where the fear started was that day. No.
That was so good.
Oh,
but
man.
no, as Hannah and I have talked about week after week, like you need to develop like a little bit of a tough skin. Like that's, you got to find you've got to find your place and find if it works well for you. And in my case,
picked on.
I can get picked on. I can dish it out,
but
I
definitely can take it.
Yeah, I definitely can.
Great sense of humor though. Now, I would say your story is very instructive to the legion of PAs who are listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You came to this practice with 7 years of experience in orthopedics.
Mm-hmm.
You did not say, I'm going to work on a surgical team or else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You came in, you started in the urgent care, and you made yourself indispensable.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the advice that I give people. And I've had PAs that I've interviewed that come in and they're like, well, I know this is for urgent care, but I really want to work on the surgeon team. And I'm like, listen, you just have to trust me. And for the PAs that are great and that have stuck, they have. Hannah is one of them. Yeah. Hannah came in at that exact same time. So,
well, there was no chance that Hannah was going to fail. I mean, we'd known Hannah forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like
the personality,
the specific things that you want to, and like the specific role that you want to take, because like we had this situation where there was like a couple of opportunities. I'm like, not interested in this. Yeah. This is what I'm holding out for. But yeah, like you said, make yourself indispensable. Like make it so that the idea of not having you there is terrifying.
Right. Yeah. So
it's good job security.
Yes. So to close out here, I think it's really important for a PA that wants to work on a surgical team. The relationship between the surgeon and the PA should be complementary, not competitive. I think that's really important. It is give and take. And again, the more you're willing to give on both sides, the more productive that relationship will be. So I think it's really the synergy between the surgeon and the PA that makes for a good dynamic. And when it is right, the patients see it, your coworkers see it, you see it, and it is not hard, right? So, if you're finding yourself putting in the time, putting in the hours, putting in the effort, like when you get to that point, it really it's priceless. I mean, it's easy at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you are, Hannah, in the process of building that and seeing that. And, over the past, 2 years since you've been doing that, I can see it. I mean, even within the growth of your practice. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was always my goal all along to develop the type of team that you guys have and that I saw you have throughout the years. And so I already had that vision of like the perfect team setup in my mind. And it really was a great setup for me because the surgeon I work with, I'm his first PA and we're all like a fresh team together. So we were building from the ground up. And so it really has worked out well for me to be able to like just use those building blocks of where I have seen things work and fall short and kind of build that role into exactly what we want it to be.
Yeah.
So, one other thing, I need you to reference the oatmeal. I literally can't do that without that. I can't exit this without that.
Okay. I said something last week.
And it shocked me and I can't stop thinking about it.
Okay. So when we first started working together, and this was over across the way, in the nurse's lounge was right next to the physician lounge. But the physician lounge is where the fridge was. So like I would come in there sometimes and I would stay in there, but you very much like your own space. And then some administrators would come in and out and you would tell me how much you hated that, right?
Oh, but that's different.
It is different. Yeah. But so when I'm figuring out like where I'm supposed to be. I kind of want to be cohorts with the nurses. So I hung out with them, but like I kind of wanted my own space because I'll dictate in front of these people and they're like, why are you talking? Right. So there's this one time we were flipping cases. We had a ton of cases over across the way. And I was like, I worked out that morning. I was like kind of hungry. It was almost 2:00. I'm like, oh my God. So I like found some oatmeal, right, that I threw in the microwave. And the microwaves were being used in the nurse's lounge. So I came to the physician's lounge and I put in the microwave, and I mean, it was out. It was hot as crap. And I remember taking a metal spoon, so I couldn't find a plastic one. I ate it, and then I quickly threw it in the sink. I ran water over it, just left it there.
Oh no!
And I went back into the OR, and then it was after the case, and I was like, through the case, I was like, gotta clean spoon. So I come back to the surgeon's lounge, and you were on the phone with someone. It was heated. For whatever reason, you got off the phone, and then you stood up, went over to the sink, and you're like, who the F put this spoon in the sink? God, now I'm everyone's maid as well. And I came around the corner. I was like, that's so weird. I don't know who did that. And I remember like, I was like dead. I was kind of like, oh my God, I just ruined everything with a spoon.
If I'd have known that was you, I would have been mortified by my behavior.
No, I was like, but it was my chance to say like, I did that, but I literally in the moment I was like, I don't know why people are such slobs, like, and I like walked away. I've told a couple people that story, and I was like, oh my God, that could have been a turning point in our relationship.
That's hilarious, but it wasn't about the spoon.
It never is about the spoon. It's never about the spoon.
That time period was very stressful because of the hospital administration and the nurse manager. Got up every day to try to find a way to screw us.
Yeah.
And was nearly successful a couple of times. So I was on eggshells the entire time I was there. And I get on the guys here in the physician's lounge.
Yeah.
Like when the cups
cappuccino
pile
cup.
Up. Yeah, the cappuccino. And I was like, who and when is this going to get? I mean, this is filth.
Yeah.
We are surgeons. Sterility and cleanliness is everything. What is going on here, right? Yeah. And so it was just one little dinky spoon, but it really wasn't, that was early. Not my proudest moment.
No, that was early on. That was early on, and I was like, oh my God.
Okay, I love that. Just had to get that out there. I've been stewing over it for a while.
I hope that fit everything you needed it to be.
I did, yeah.
Good.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Well, I would like to point out one more thing though. When you developed sort of an independent parallel practice, you didn't come in demanding that. You earned it. Yeah. Like I realized, just going back to the other, like this is a wasted resource if we're not running parallel with just check-ins. So we talk about everybody, but it's not a requirement, and it's not after every single patient, but we're always talking about everybody all the time. And so it was something you earned by dint of your accomplishment throughout the entire relationship.
Yeah.
And it was not something that you demanded or required. The same way when you start in the practice.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the other thing. I've had PAs that come in that demand that from the start. Like I had a PA that used to work with us that wanted, you wanted patients to know that it was her, and they wanted, she cared more about her own reputation than the ultimate goal, which is seeing the patient, taking care of the patient. So really having that selfless approach to medicine will also make PA surgeon relationship very successful.
I think that one of the best things that your listener can take from this is, in an age of instant everything, like a year or a year and a half or 2 years to achieve a goal can seem like an endless, a race without a finish line. But when you put that, you juxtapose that against the backdrop of a whole career that you're trying to make for yourself. You do it the right way, it's lasting, it's satisfying, and doing it the right way is going to lead to more permanence. Yeah. And ultimately, you're going to end up where you want to be faster than trying to break down the door and force everybody because you might have a little negotiating leverage into doing what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insight. I think a lot of good nuggets came out of today. So we appreciate it.
Oh, guess number one.
Yes. So we referenced a couple of weeks ago that both Hannah and I somewhat thrive in the chaos of just like orthopedics and life in general. And one of the references is that we both drive to work with the coffee cup with no top on that. It's hot.
The chaos.
It might spill at any point in time.
Yeah.
So for being our first guest, we have provided you with a mug of your own.
Swag.
Yeah,
yes.
There's your swag.
There's your swag.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. We appreciate you both impacting our career, but more importantly, joining us today in our new venture. So thank you.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just very proud of what you guys are doing here. You guys sound like pros already. Sweet. And I think it seems clear to me that you guys have found a niche and you found a sweet spot for your skill set, because you guys are doing a great job with this.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right.
All right. Till next week. Thanks. Thanks for tuning in to Joint Effort PAs. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow PA or med-minded friend. You can also follow us on Instagram at Joint Effort PAs for updates and extra content. See you next time.